Now let's understand what is a web browser. So over here, let's read the definition in section number 13 of our cheat sheet. So it says a web browser is a pretty advanced piece of software which contains a lot of components. Many of these components are accessible to a web developer, so we can create complex web apps. At the same time, a lot of components are kept out of reach of the web developer for security purposes. For instance, we as developers can get access to the user's location, but we cannot get access to the user's saved passwords or browsing history. So let's say we are making a Maps application. We want the user location information which the browser API is going to give us so we can display the right map. But it's going to be a bad idea for web applications to have access to users' password. That's a security breach, right? So the browser protects that information and does not reveal it to any web application. So let's see below in our diagram over here, what are the different pieces, some of the different pieces, some of the major different pieces that a web browser has. So the first thing you want to understand is the first concept or the first API or the first feature, the outermost feature that the browser has is the window object, all right? So each tab of a browser is considered a window. This is not like the traditional sense of the word when we have a Windows operating system or when we are on a Mac, we have these windows. That's a different concept. In the sense of the web browser, in the sense of web applications, a window is considered the tab in which the website is open. So that's considered the window object. This is the outermost container that a web app can access. Okay, this is the outermost layer. Notice a website opened in one tab, right, cannot access the window object of another tab. So let's say there are two websites open, and let's say there are two applications, and the developers of the two applications, let's say one application is open in one tab, it cannot affect the website in another tab. So that's another security feature that the browser has. So one window object in one tab is different to the window object in another tab, so that the people who are developing it can only influence the website that they are actually coding. Okay, we're going to see more of it. So actually, to give you a quick demonstration, I have this tab over here open, and I'm going to simply type in window over here. Okay, window, and hit enter, and you see there is an object over here which we have access to as developers, and it has the alert feature. Interesting, right? So see, we were using the alert functionality. That's the same alert over here. It has something called blur and adobe and so much other stuff, with some of which we're gonna be using. You remember we used clear interval, clear timeout. There should be set timeout over here as well. So if I scroll down enough to the S, because it's categorized alphabetically, so set timeout, here it is, set timeout and set interval. So all of these features are built into the browser, and they give us access to it so we can actually use it. So window object is something accessible to us. If I just scroll down, oh sorry, minimize this and just put in document. Document is another API that a browser gives us that represents the entire HTML document. So right now this page is totally empty, so it gives us this HTML element, the head, the body, and that's the document representation in an object form that the browser gives us. So we're going to be learning how to use JavaScript to manipulate this document object so we can create these complex applications. But these are just features. These are just APIs that the browser has given us. So another piece over here is the document, which we already looked at. So the document is the viewport or the section where the website is displayed. This is called the document. So anything over here, this area is considered the document. And the document object represents everything, the HTML markup, which is inside that document, which is representing this particular viewable area, the viewport. So that's another piece that a browser has. So the browser contains a lot of components besides this that a front-end developer may need, such as the navigator. It has something called the navigator, which will likely provide us with some notification features, maybe some geolocation features, and so forth. It has something called the JavaScript engine, which we have been playing around with a lot, It has the dev tools. So you see over here, this entire window over here, which has the elements tab, this console, this source, this network, and so many other features. This is a feature. This entire thing, the dev tools are a feature inside the JavaScript, inside the browser. So that's another feature. It also has something called the HTML and CSS processor. So when we give the browser a document, it has the ability to understand what this code is and then represent that onto the page, right? And if there's some certain code written for CSS, it needs to understand what this code is and then translate into a beautiful looking web page. So those are some bigger pieces that a browser has. So now from the next video onwards, we're going to be using all of these features, some of this one thing at a time, and building a simple little application so you see how a front-end developer actually works and makes these applications with our knowledge of JavaScript, with our knowledge of APIs and browser APIs, and then we're going to be building that. Talk to you in the next video.